Well, good late afternoon. I am Carrie V. Dean, and I am bringing you another episode of A Dullard Speaks. Today, I am voicing my opinion as an American unconsidered. So therefore, this whole topic of conversation is just my take on what I've read in comment sections of news items and clips and different comments across the internet about the opinion of what's going on here in America. The main focal point is that of freedom of speech. Now, on that topic, we have the Republicans say that the Democrats took away their voices and took away their freedom of speech and is trying to dampen their freedom of speech with their rhetoric. Well, now we go to the Democrats. The Democrats say, no, it's the hardcore MAGA part of the Republicans that's trying to dampen everybody's freedom of speech and take it away. All the ardent Trump supporters that are bad for America. Now me, as an American unconsidered as far as my opinion goes, I have a question. Can we unite as Americans and say that each side possess the beauty of what freedom of speech allows? Oh, I hear resounding no coming back from all directions. See a lot of finger pointing in both directions as to why that can't happen. Wow. Okay. Why are you saying no, you cannot agree that that's the beauty of having freedom of speech? Oh, well, because Democrats are just wrong. Okay, let's try to find a responsible Democrat. Well, it's not that we are just wrong. It's that the Republicans don't want to admit to their faults. Okay. Now, back to the Republicans. See, that's the kind of fascist Marxist rhetoric you get. Now back to the Dems. No, that's the kind of racist fascist remarks you'd expect. Okay. So much for getting resolution out of our Congress. Let's go to the people. What do you think about the recent attack on freedom of speech within the recent months? Well, hardcore Trump supporters say he's justified in doing what he's doing because he's the president. Now we have the left side saying, well, the Constitution limits what his powers are. Then we have the right side firing back, well, the Supreme Court gave him absolute immunity. Left side, that's not exactly true. The Supreme Court cannot give him absolute immunity over anything. He can still be held accountable and he can still be impeached on any new crimes he commits in the office. The right, well, how come they haven't done it? The left, because Republicans own the Senate and the House and refuse to vote on impeaching him. And the Democrats do not have the numbers in either chamber to defeat what the Republicans are doing. The right, all you Dems come up with every excuse. The left, that's not an excuse, that's facts. Oh, you just want to blame everything on Trump. It's Biden's fault. As you can see, this goes on and on and on. But I tell you what, as an unconsidered American, this is what we were raised with in America. We are all little immature children compared to the rest of the world that have had to deal with true authoritarian regimes, dictatorships, you name it. Fascism. Those countries are much more mature than America. So when our president stands up and tries to proclaim himself emperor of the world, he's going to get slapped, and that's what's been happening. He's getting slapped hard because there are other nations older than America that know, as they still call it, democracy was an experiment that still has yet to mature. As long as we keep uncivilly communicating, no one's listening. Oh, you're hearing what you want to hear, but no one's listening. We demonstrated last year during the voting that most people didn't truly listen to what Trump was saying. They heard what they wanted to hear because he was touching on everyone's hate factors. What I hate may not be what you hate, but the fact that he's going to make America great again, that's all we heard. Went to the polls, and the polls reflected that. He won on hate speech. He won on diversifying America. He won lying about unifying America through diversity. That last part is actually proven to be true, because the more hateful he gets, the more of us more matured Americans are coming together to fight back and tell him, no, this is not America. This is not making America great. But the problem still has not been addressed as far as being able to come to a consistency among Americans as to what support of the Constitution looks like. Because each side believes they're correct in how they're going about it. It only seems to be a handful of mature Congress leaders that are going back to the roots, going back into the neighborhoods, whether they be Republican or Democratic, and speaking to those groups of people to find out what it is that can be done to try to come to some consensus. But it's too few from both parties. Too few doing that. And it's mostly, unfortunately, it's mostly from what I can see and have been hearing from other folks from other parts of the world as they come into Georgetown. Most of it has been coming from the Democrats, which most people have said they're surprised about that, considering Democrats in the past would never cross lines like that. They would only go to Democratic cities. They would only go to Democratic safe areas, which is very true. So, and the Democrats aren't shying away from that. They've owned up to that sin of the past. They've owned up to that sin of the past. And they're trying to get that rectified. That's something that, excuse me, having a little static problem here. This is something that they're trying to do that the Republicans can't seem to get right, don't care to get right. As they stump along with Trump's campaign of hate, even to their own detriment. And I find that interesting. This 100% loyalty to one person to manage America so far has been a total disaster. If any American truly thought that could be a good thing, we would not have had another election after Roosevelt took office. We just would have had the same party over and over and over again be elected into office every time. If anyone could come together and see, this is the thing, even within the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, there are cracks where most people would have said yes to, we can try civility, and yes to freedom of speech is a beautiful thing in America. There's as many saying no. There has to be a black and white line. But those same people that say that it must have a black and white line are the same people, when questioned, will come up with all the gray area defenses. So, let's just say the whole world is witnessing what I've just spelled out. I love this country. I love being an American. And the road to democracy has many thorns. That is my viewpoint. And the rest of the world sees us as the immature children still trying to put up a front of democracy, though splintered on how to express that democracy. Well, that was just my quick take on observation of where America stands in the eyes of the world. And through the eyes of those of us who may feel the same way, that, hey, you say we don't have an opinion to express, but we're expressing it with our silence, because this is totally craziness that's going on now. The only difference is we're not seeing people being unceremoniously beaten in front of everyone and bloodied and hauled off to be hung. That's the only difference. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty much the same old thing. Might makes right. Whoever's in power, the might underneath that person and how they willed it is what's right. And that's not necessarily true. But it can be proven that it's effective. On that note, thank you for listening. Hopefully you heard something that'll make you think and reflect before you respond or comment uncivilly. Thank you, and good afternoon. This has been Carrie Dean for A Dullard Speaks.